So what I want to do is I want to see about just trying to polish up and tidying up the sear and the trigger. So they are stamped out of metal, so they aren't the most finessed and smoothest of parts. So what I want to do is just gently rub them down, and then use a bit of polish just to make sure that they're as clean as shiny as possible, just to reduce friction. And then with the trigger itself, what I want to do is I want to see about taking off the black, polishing that up so at least it's a silver trigger and looks a little bit more bling. But in the process of doing so, and in the process of being very, very careful, when I took the little plate off, I heard the ball bearing bouncing across the kitchen floor. So the spring's still in there, but the ball bearing sits at the bottom, and obviously that's just like popped out somewhere. So I can't find it. I do have a cunning little plan to try and find it. I'm just waiting for the Hoover to charge up again, and then it looks like I'll be going through the Hoover bag with a magnet. If that all fails, I'll run it without it until I decide to buy a new one for God knows how many pounds. But it is literally the most tiniest ball bearing that you've ever seen. Anyway, so hopefully I won't lose that spring. So what I will do, is pop that cover plate back on so it doesn't ping out, and then we'll get down to polishing these. So I'm going to start off with some 600 just to take off any burrs, and I'm literally just going to see if I can just smarten it up a little bit. So as you can see, after a little bit of polishing, it's taken off some high spots. For whatever reason, all of the middle bits seems to be low, but whatever. Anyway, but you can see I've polished off and taken off any little burrs that there may have been. So what I'll do it on that side, and then just gently go around the outside. I'm not aiming to change any of the shape at all. I just want to take off any little roughness to it. So it's just taken off any little rough edges that there were. I'm not aiming to change the shape at all. And then yeah, hopefully polish that up and it just be a little bit less friction. So the other thing that I want to do is see about trying to make this shiny. So what I'm going to do is use some of this. Alright, so trigger's back in, sear's back in, spring's back in, polished, looking a little bit cleaner, and I've just literally greased where the mating surfaces are going to be, and then yeah, in there should be a little tiny ball bearing which hopefully I will find before too long. Right, let's put it back together again and see if it actually works. So I am waiting for a trigger adjustment which will hopefully make it a little bit lighter, but I'm wondering if it's just now been polished as it were, cleaned, lubed a little bit, whether the trigger pull will actually be less than 4.5 pounds. Every little helps I suppose, but yeah, silver trigger looks better. Still works then. So polished, lubed, original trigger pull was 4.5 pounds. It's now down to just over 4 or 4 thereabouts. So it's gone down maybe half a pound with just a bit of maintenance. So I'm hoping with the new trigger spring little adjuster that'll bring that down into well, lower than that anyway. But yeah, just need to try and find the little ball bearing there to stop the safety from falling out. So I managed to find a little tiny ball bearing. That's a 2mm hex key. So it's tiny. Taking the spring out. So what I'm aiming to do, that's the hole where the spring and the ball bearing goes. So I'm going to drop the ball bearing in, drop the spring in, that's on top of the safety catch, and then secure the air chamber on top. That's the theory, because I don't think I'm going to be lucky enough to find that twice. Right, so ball bearing in the little hole, spring on top, and then that literally just sits across the through bolt safety. So now what I want to do is just literally put the air cylinder on top, and hopefully that stays in place.